Crash landing and the beast in the dark. John Carter's hands shook as he gripped the controls of his ship. The warning lights flashed red. Sparks burst from the console. His ship was falling. Come on, he muttered, trying to restart the engine. Nothing. The planet below grew larger by the second. The atmosphere burned against the metal, shaking the cockpit violently. His stomach twisted. This was bad. Then, impact. The crash was brutal. The ship tore through thick trees, metal screeching as it skidded across the rough ground. Smoke filled the cockpit. Alarms blared. Then, silence. John groaned, head throbbing. He unstrapped himself and pushed open the broken hatch. Cool, damp air hit his face. He was alive. But where was he? A strange, deadly jungle. The jungle around him was nothing like Earth. The trees were tall, their bark black and smooth like stone. Strange vines glowed a faint blue, twisting like snakes. The air smelled damp, mixed with a scent John couldn't place. Something wild, something watching. His ship was useless. The communication system was fried. His distress beacon smashed. No one was coming to save him. He grabbed a metal rod from the wreckage, a makeshift weapon. He would need it. Then he heard it, a deep guttural growl. John froze. His pulse hammered against his ribs. It came from the trees. Low, dangerous, not an animal he knew. Slowly, he stepped back toward the wreckage. If he could hide inside. Crack AK. A branch snapped. Something was moving. Vague. Fast. Watching him. Eyes in the dark. John's fingers tightened around the metal rod. His throat felt dry. He wanted to run, but running from a predator was a bad idea. Another growl, closer this time. Then, two glowing yellow eyes appeared between the trees. They were large. Too large. John's heart pounded. The creature stepped forward into the dim light. It was huge, at least 7 feet tall. Thick silver fur covered its powerful body. Its sharp claws gleamed in the faint blue glow of the vines. But its face, it looked like a wolf. A massive, alien werewolf. John took a shaky step back. The creature's ears flicked. It bared razor-sharp fangs in something that was almost a grin. "You smell like fear, human," it said. John's blood turned to ice. It could talk. The hunt begins. He didn't stop to think. He ran. Branches whipped against his face as he sprinted into the jungle. His breath came in sharp gasps. He had to escape, had to hide. A blur of silver fur. Then impact. Something slammed into his back, knocking him down. John hit the ground hard, breath exploding from his lungs. A heavy weight pinned him. He struggled, but it was useless. The werewolf's strength was inhuman. A warm breath brushed against his neck. A deep, satisfied growl rumbled in his ear. "You run fast for a human," the werewolf said, amusement in her voice. John's heart raced. Her voice, it was female. No escape. She leaned closer, sniffing him. "Strange. You are not weak. You fight." John gritted his teeth. "Let me go." The werewolf chuckled. "No." She flipped him over effortlessly. Now he could see her face fully, sharp, fierce, intelligent. She wasn't just an animal. She was something more, something dangerous. John struggled again, but her clawed hands held him down. She smirked. "You are mine now, human." His breath caught. "What?" The werewolf tilted her head, as if deciding something. Then she grinned, showing too many sharp teeth. "You are my mate." John stopped breathing. No, no. He had crash-landed on an alien planet. He was supposed to be fighting for survival, not being claimed by a giant werewolf. But the way she looked at him, like he was already hers, told him one thing. She wasn't giving him a choice. The Alpha's claim. John Carter lay pinned beneath the alien werewolf, his breath coming in short gasps. His mind screamed at him to fight, to run, to do something. But the beast holding him down was too strong. She wasn't just an animal. She was intelligent, and she had just called him her mate. John clenched his jaw, forcing himself to stay calm. "Listen, I think there's been a mistake." The werewolf tilted her head, her golden eyes gleaming with amusement. "No mistake, human." Her voice was deep but smooth, with a tone that sent a chill through him, not just because she was dangerous, but because she sounded completely sure. John's heart pounded. "You don't even know me." She bared her sharp teeth in something like a grin. "I know enough. You are strong. You fight. And you smell, right?" John did not like the sound of that. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, he shoved against her. His muscles strained, and for a moment, just a moment, he felt her weight shift. Her ears flicked in surprise. Then, before he could push her off, she grabbed him by the front of his torn flight suit and yanked him up like he weighed nothing. "You are full of spirit," she said, sounding almost pleased. John gritted his teeth. Spirit wasn't going to save him. He had to find a way out. A captive in the wild. The werewolf, Varaxa, as she later called herself, didn't hurt him. But she didn't let him go either. Instead, she carried him. John struggled, cursed, kicked, but it was useless. Varaxa held him in one arm, her grip like iron, and walked through the dense jungle as if he were nothing more than a piece of luggage. "Put me down," he snapped. She chuckled. "Why? You will only run." "Damn right I will." She let out a low, growling laugh. "Good. I like a chase." That shut John up. The alpha's den. After what felt like hours, the trees opened into a rocky clearing. At the center stood a massive cave entrance, torches burning with strange blue fire. John tensed. Was this her home? A trap? Were there more of her kind waiting? Varaxa strode forward, stepping inside. The cave was surprisingly warm, the stone walls marked with deep scratches. Pelts of strange animals covered the ground, forming what looked like a sleeping area. Bones, large ones, were stacked near a corner. John swallowed hard. Was she planning to eat him? Varaxa dropped him. He hit the ground with a grunt, quickly rolling away before she could pin him again. She didn't chase. She only watched, amused. "You will stay here," she said simply. "Like hell I will," John shot back, already eyeing the exit. Varaxa stretched her claws lazily. "Run if you wish. You will not make it far." John didn't wait for another word. Escape attempt number 1. He bolted. His feet pounded against the stone as he raced toward the jungle. His mind screamed move. Faster. He made it 10 steps. Then, a blur of silver. Before he could react, Varaxa was there. She grabbed him mid-stride, spun him, and slammed him against the cave wall. John gasped. He had never seen anyone move that fast. Varaxa's golden eyes gleamed with amusement. "Told you." John struggled, but she leaned in closer. "Why fight?" she murmured. "I will not harm you. You are mine now. I will protect you, feed you, keep you warm." John's skin prickled. She said it like a promise, like she believed it, like she wouldn't take no for an answer. A bigger threat. John's mind raced. He had to find a weakness, a way to get inside her head. "I'm not some pet," he said, forcing himself to keep his voice steady. "I have a life. A mission. I can't stay here." Varaxa's ears flicked, as if considering his words. Then, suddenly, she tensed. John frowned. "What?" She sniffed the air. A deep, low growl rumbled in her throat. Something was wrong. Varaxa turned her head toward the cave entrance, eyes narrowing, her muscles coiled. John followed her gaze. From the jungle came a sound. A low, heavy breathing. Then, the ground shook. Something huge was moving out there. Varaxa shoved John behind her. Her body shifted, her claws extending, her fangs bared. For the first time since he had met her, she looked uneasy. John's pulse raced. If something out there could make her nervous, he was in more danger than he thought. Escape is impossible. The ground trembled beneath John Carter's feet. The air grew thick, heavy with a scent that made Varaxa's fur bristle. She was tense. John had seen her smirk, tease, and even toy with him like a predator enjoying the hunt. But now she wasn't playing. She was preparing for a fight. Something outside the cave was big, bigger than her. A deep, guttural snort echoed from the trees, followed by the crunch of something massive stepping over the jungle floor. John edged back. He had no weapons, no plan, and no idea what the hell was about to walk through that cave entrance. Varaxa let out a low warning growl. She shifted, her stance wide, claws flexed. Then, the creature stepped into view, a nightmare from the jungle. The thing was a monstrosity. It stood at least 4 meters tall, its thick, black-scaled body covered in jagged spines. Its massive jaw dripped with thick, purple saliva that sizzled where it hit the ground. Its 6 eyes locked onto them, blinking in eerie, unnatural patterns. John's stomach twisted. This wasn't just a predator. This was a Titan beast. He didn't know how he knew. Maybe it was the way Varaxa's muscles coiled, the way her claws dug into the stone floor. Maybe it was pure instinct. But John knew one thing. This thing could kill them both. The battle begins. The Titan beast let out a horrifying screech, shaking the walls of the cave. Then it charged. John barely had time to react before Varaxa moved. She was lightning. She leaped straight at the monster, claws slashing across its hide. Sparks flew where her nails met scales, but the Titan beast barely flinched. John stumbled back, pressing himself against the cave wall. What the hell was he supposed to do? Varaxa was fast, strong, and brutal, but the Titan beast was bigger. It swung a massive claw, and Varaxa barely dodged in time. She landed low, her silver fur streaked with dirt, then lunged again, her teeth sinking into its arm. The Titan beast shrieked. Purple blood splattered onto the cave floor, sizzling where it hit. John's pulse hammered. He needed to get out of here. This wasn't his fight. But if that thing won, it would come for him next. Varaxa snarled, ripping at the beast's arm. It howled in rage, then slammed her into the cave wall. The impact was brutal. John watched in horror as Varaxa crumpled to the ground, her body still for a second too long. His gut twisted. She wasn't dead, was she? The Titan beast turned to him. John's breath caught. It saw him. It knew he was there. John fights back. Adrenaline kicked in. John wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a super-powered werewolf. But he was human. And humans survive. His eyes darted around the cave. There, a jagged piece of metal from his wrecked ship. He dived for it. The Titan beast lunged. John rolled, barely dodging the swipe of razor-sharp claws. He grabbed the metal shard and spun, driving it straight into the beast's side. The Titan beast screeched, stumbling back. Its purple blood hissed as it splattered across the cave floor. John's hand shook, his breathing ragged. It wasn't dead, but he had heard it. Varaxa stirred. Her golden eyes flicked open, locking onto him. For the first time since they met, she looked surprised. John had just saved her. The killing blow. Varaxa's lips pulled back into a snarl. She sprang to her feet, eyes burning with pure fury. With a savage roar, she launched herself at the Titan beast. This time, she didn't toy with it. She went for the throat. John watched, heart pounding, as her fangs tore into its neck. The Titan beast screamed, thrashing. Varaxa held on. Blood poured down its chest. With one final, gurgling gasp, it collapsed. Silence. Varaxa let go, panting. She turned toward John, her fur matted with blood, her gaze unreadable. Then, she did something that sent a chill down his spine. She smirked. "You fought for me, human," she said, voice low and dangerous. John swallowed hard. I had no choice. Her ears flicked. That is where you are wrong. She took a step closer. You could have run. John's mouth went dry. But you didn't, Varaxa murmured. She circled him slowly, like a predator studying prey. John tried to step back. She caught his arm in a firm grip. Her claws traced his wrist, not hurting, just holding. John's pulse pounded. I was right about you, she said softly. You are mine. His throat tightened. He had just fought alongside an alien werewolf, against a monster. And somehow, this felt even more dangerous. Escape is impossible. Varaxa released him suddenly. John stumbled back, unsure what just happened. She turned away, walking toward the mouth of the cave. She looked tired but satisfied. You saved my life, John Carter. She didn't say it lightly. John exhaled. Yeah, well, I guess that means you owe me. Varaxa let out a low, growling chuckle. No, human, it means you are part of my pack now. John froze. She glanced over her shoulder, a mischievous glint in her eyes. And in my pack, you do not run from your alpha. John swallowed hard. She was serious. He had been trying to escape. Now, he wasn't sure if he even could. A bigger danger. John Carter sat near the cave entrance, his back resting against the cold stone. His heart was still hammering from the battle with the Titan beast. The body of the monstrous creature lay nearby, its purple blood slowly seeping into the rocky ground, giving off a faint hiss where it touched. He had survived. But survival came with a cost. He was stuck here. And worse, he was now part of Varaxa's pack. She had said it like a fact, like it was something permanent, as if he had no say in the matter. John ran a hand through his sweat-soaked hair. He had no ship, no way off this planet, and no idea what came next, except for one thing. Varaxa. She was watching him. She sat a few feet away, her silver fur still matted with Titan beast blood. Her golden eyes were fixed on him, unblinking. John let out a slow breath. So, what now? Varaxa tilted her head slightly. You rest. John frowned. And then, she bared a toothy grin. Then you prove yourself to the pack. His stomach twisted. Yeah, that sounded bad. The pack awaits. The next morning, John woke to the feeling of something nudging his shoulder. He groaned, rolling over, but a sharp claw poked his ribs. Up, human, Varaxa's voice rumbled above him. John cracked one eye open. The cave was dim, but the soft blue glow from the bioluminescent vines outside was enough to show Varaxa towering over him. John sat up, stretching sore muscles. Do I get breakfast first, or is this one of those fight-for-your-food situations? Varaxa chuckled. You are learning. That didn't make him feel any better. They left the cave, moving through the thick jungle. John tried to keep up, but Varaxa's long strides made it almost impossible. She never slowed down for him. Typical. After nearly an hour of walking, the trees began to thin. The air grew heavier, filled with new scents, strong, wild, and unfamiliar. And then, the jungle opened into a clearing. John stopped in his tracks. They were waiting for him. The wolves of the wild moon. A dozen towering figures stood in a half-circle, watching him with glowing yellow eyes. More alien werewolves. Their fur ranged from dark brown to pale silver, their bodies massive and powerful. They wore scraps of armor, their claws gleaming like blades. Some had deep scars across their faces or chests, reminders of past battles, and all of them were staring at John. He swallowed hard. One of them stepped forward. A massive werewolf with jet-black fur and piercing red eyes. His presence alone made the air thicker. John didn't need an introduction. This was the real alpha. Varaxa bowed her head slightly. Varzok, she greeted him. Varzok's red eyes flicked to John. This is your human. His voice was deep, filled with undisguised disapproval. John straightened, setting his jaw. He didn't like the way the alpha said that, like he was some kind of stray pet. Varaxa nodded. He is strong. Varzak let out a rough snort. He is small and weak. John clenched his fists. He had been through hell. He had survived a ship crash, being hunted, and fighting a damn Titan beast. And now he had to deal with this. Varzak stepped closer. You bring a human into the pack, but he is untested. A weak mate weakens you, Varaxa. John's stomach dropped. Mate. Right. That word again. Before he could argue, another werewolf stepped forward. A lean, scared one with golden brown fur. His lips curled into a sneer. Let us test him, he said. Varaxa's ears flicked, but she didn't protest. John exhaled sharply. He had a bad feeling about this. The trial of the wild. The pack formed a wide circle around him. John stood in the center, his pulse hammering. Varzak pointed at him with one massive claw. Survive the night. Alone. If you return by sunrise, you are one of us. John's breath caught. And if I don't? Varzak's lips pulled back into a grin. Then you do not return at all. A shiver ran down John's spine. Varaxa stepped closer, lowering her voice. Run fast. Fight harder. You have already proven yourself to me. Now prove yourself to them. John stared at her. This was insane. But arguing wasn't going to do anything. He had no choice. The pack howled, and John ran. A night of survival. The jungle swallowed him in darkness. The sounds of distant creatures echoed in the trees. Growls, screeches, rustling leaves. John kept moving, ducking under branches, stepping carefully over twisted roots. His mind raced. Survive the night. That meant two things. Don't get killed. Don't get found. He found a low cave, its entrance covered by thick vines. A hiding spot. John crawled inside, pressing his back against the stone. He forced himself to control his breathing. Hours passed. Every rustle outside made his heart jump. Something massive moved through the trees, sniffing the air. John held his breath. A werewolf. Not Varaxa. It was hunting him. John closed his eyes, gripping the sharp metal piece he had taken from his wrecked ship. If they found him, he would have to fight. Morning comes. John didn't sleep. By dawn, he was still alive. His limbs were stiff, his stomach aching with hunger, but he had made it. As the first golden rays of sunlight broke through the trees, he stepped out of the cave, and the pack was waiting. Varaxa stood near the front, her golden eyes unreadable. Varzak stepped forward, his red eyes burning into John. You return, the alpha rumbled. John squared his shoulders. Yeah, guess that means I'm one of you now. Varzak let out a low chuckle. You are still human, but you are not weak, Varaxa added, stepping beside him. John exhaled. He had survived. But something inside him whispered. This was only the beginning. The battle and the bond. John Carter stood at the edge of the werewolf pack, his body aching from a night of exhaustion. His arms were scratched from low-hanging branches, his legs sore from running and hiding in the dense jungle. But he had done it. He had survived. Varzak, the massive black-furred alpha, watched him with those piercing red eyes, his face unreadable. The rest of the werewolves stood in a tense silence. John wasn't sure if they were impressed or disappointed that he had made it back alive. Varaxa stood beside him, shoulders squared, eyes locked onto the alpha. Well, she said. Varzak let out a deep, rumbling growl. He has endured the trial. One of the werewolves scoffed. Barely. John's jaw clenched, but he kept his mouth shut. He had learned not to provoke a pack of werewolves. Varzak's gaze didn't waver. Endurance is not strength. John exhaled slowly. Here we go. You wish to be part of this pack. the Alpha asked. John folded his arms. I didn't exactly sign up for this. A few of the werewolves growled low in their throats. Varaxa smirked. But you fought for it. John shot her a look. She wasn't wrong. Varzak stepped forward, towering over him. Then prove your worth, human. John narrowed his eyes. Another test. The Alpha bared his teeth in a grin. A fight. The arena of the pack. The pack formed a rough circle around John and Varzak. The ground beneath them was dry, flattened by years of battle. This was where the pack settled disputes. John stared at the massive werewolf in front of him. This wasn't just a fight. It was a challenge. And John had no chance of winning. You cannot refuse, Varaxa whispered beside him. This is how they judge strength. If you walk away, they will see you as prey. John sighed. Of course. Great, he muttered. Just what I needed. Death by giant werewolf. Varaxa's lips twitched. You are clever. Use that. John shook his head. Yeah. Let me just outsmart the 7-foot killing machine. But Varaxa just stepped back. Varzak cracked his massive knuckles. Begin. And then he attacked. David versus Goliath. John barely had time to dodge as the Alpha lunged. A clawed fist swung toward his ribs, fast as lightning. John ducked at the last second, rolling away. The force of the missed punch sent a shockwave through the ground. John's heart pounded. One hit, and he was done. Varzak turned, growling. Do not run, human. Face me. John wiped sweat from his brow. Yeah, sure. Let me just. He grabbed a handful of dirt and flung it straight at Varzak's face. The Alpha roared, momentarily blinded. John moved. He ducked under the werewolf's arm, aiming low, striking at the back of the Alpha's knee with all his strength. Varzak stumbled. John didn't wait. He leaped onto the Alpha's back, locking both arms around his thick neck. The pack gasped. Varaxa's golden eyes sparked with something unreadable. John gritted his teeth. He couldn't win by strength, but he could choke the bastard out. Varzak snarled. And then he slammed backward, hard. John's back hit the ground like a hammer. Pain exploded through his spine. He gasped, but before he could move, a massive clawed hand grabbed his throat. Varzak loomed over him, breathing hard. John struggled, but the Alpha's grip was unbreakable. You fought well, Varzak growled, but you are still weak. John's vision darkened. His lungs burned. Then, Varaxa moved. Varaxa's intervention. She lunged between them, knocking Varzak back with surprising force. The Alpha let out a sharp growl, his red eyes flaring. Varaxa. He has proven enough. She snapped, stepping in front of John. The tension in the air crackled. Varzak studied her. You defend him. Varaxa's claws flexed. Yes. Silence. Then, a low chuckle. Varzak exhaled. Very well. He turned to the pack. He has spirit. That is enough. John coughed, rubbing his throat. That was it. No death match. No more insane trials. Varzak turned back to John. You may stay, but you will train. John exhaled. It was a victory. A painful one, but a victory. A moment of understanding. Later that night, John sat outside the pack's den, watching the distant glow of alien moons. His body ached from the fight, but he was alive. Varaxa approached, silent as a shadow. You fought well, she said. John let out a dry laugh. I lost. You survived, she corrected. That is more than most do. John glanced at her. You stepped in. Why? Varaxa's golden eyes flickered in the dim light. Because you are mine. John's stomach twisted. I'm not property. Varaxa smirked. No, but you are my mate, and an Alpha protects what is hers. John sighed. Still not sold on this whole mate thing. Varaxa chuckled. You will be. John wasn't sure if that was a promise or a threat. But one thing was clear. Escape wasn't just about leaving the planet anymore. It was about leaving her. And something inside him whispered, did he even want to? The pack's challenge. The jungle pulsed with life around John Carter, but for the first time since he had crashed on this alien planet, he wasn't running for his life. That should have been a relief. It wasn't. Because now, instead of running from danger, he was walking straight into it. Varaxa led the way through the thick undergrowth, her silver fur gleaming under the twin moons. She moved effortlessly, as if she belonged here. John, on the other hand, was still trying to figure out if he did. Where are we going? He asked, stepping over a thick, snake-like vine. You trained, Varaxa said without looking back. You fought. Now you hunt. John frowned. And if I don't? Varaxa's ears flicked. Then you are not truly one of us. John exhaled. Of course. Another test. Another challenge. The werewolves never stopped testing him. And a part of him hated that he cared so much about proving them wrong. The ritual of the hunt. The clearing they arrived at was already filled with waiting eyes. Varzok stood at the center, his red gaze settling on John like a weight. Around him, the pack formed a loose circle, their expressions ranging from curious to impatient. John rolled his shoulders. He had survived the jungle for a night. He had fought their alpha. What else did they want from him? Varzok stepped forward, his massive presence commanding absolute silence. The human seeks a place in our pack, he declared. His voice was deep, heavy, final. John clenched his fists. He wasn't sure if he wanted to be in their pack, but he was sure as hell not going to be a weak outsider. Varzok lifted his chin, then let him prove himself in the ritual of the hunt. A few of the werewolves smirked. Others bared their teeth in amusement. John frowned. Okay, I'll bite. What's the ritual? Varaxa turned to him, her golden eyes gleaming. You must hunt. And kill. John swallowed. Kill what? Varzok's lips curled into a grin. The Shadow Stalker. The pack fell silent. John didn't know what that was, but based on their reaction, it wasn't anything good. Varaxa's ears flicked in mourning. It is a beast that moves between the trees, nearly invisible in the dark. John's stomach tightened, and let me guess, it eats people. A few of the werewolves chuckled. Varaxa's gaze didn't waver. It is fast, strong, and difficult to kill. John exhaled. Great. And I have to do this, alone? He asked. Varzok grunted. That is the way of the hunt. John nodded slowly. So that was it. He either hunted, or he proved to them that he wasn't worthy of being part of this pack. He wasn't sure why that bothered him. But it did. Into the dark. John stood at the edge of the jungle, the cool night air pressing against his skin. He had been given only one weapon, a curved blade, dark and jagged, crafted from some alien metal. Varaxa stood beside him, her presence uncharacteristically still. Watch the trees, she said. It moves fast. John exhaled. Anything else? Varaxa hesitated, then murmured, Do not die. John smirked. I'll try my best. Then he stepped into the darkness. The jungle was alive. Strange, glowing insects flitted through the air, casting eerie blue light against the trees. Leaves rustled with hidden creatures, watching, waiting. And somewhere in this tangled mess, a shadow stalker was hunting him. John kept his steps light, careful. Every instinct in his body told him this wasn't a normal hunt. This was a game. A test of who was predator and who was prey. A low sound echoed through the trees. John froze. Something was circling him. He tightened his grip on the blade, his muscles coiled. The air shifted. A flicker of movement, a blur of darkness. John turned just in time. The shadow strikes. The creature lunged. John barely had time to react before something massive slammed into him, knocking him off his feet. He hit the ground hard, rolling to avoid a swipe of claws that carved deep into the dirt where he had just been. The shadow stalker was fast. It blended into the jungle, moving like liquid darkness. Only its eyes, pale silver slits, betrayed its position. John's heart pounded. It wasn't attacking wildly. It was studying him, hunting him. John adjusted his grip on the blade, forcing himself to think. It was fast, but it wasn't silent. He had heard it move before it struck. That was his advantage. He closed his eyes, focusing on the sounds around him, the distant chirp of insects, the rustling leaves. And then, a faint shift in the air. John spun and slashed. The kill. The blade sank deep. The shadow stalker let out a horrible screech, its form flickering as if struggling to stay solid. John didn't stop. He drove the blade deeper, twisting. The creature's body shuddered, convulsed, then collapsed. Silence. John staggered back, panting. The beast lay motionless. Its silver eyes were dim. John had done it. He had won. He exhaled, gripping the knife tighter. His hands were shaking. He had killed before, fighting for his life against the Titan beast. But this was different. This had been a hunt, and somehow he had enjoyed it. The pack accepts. John emerged from the jungle, dragging the shadow stalker's corpse behind him. The pack fell into stunned silence. Varzak studied the carcass. Then, slowly, he grinned. "You have done what few others could," the Alpha said. "You are no longer an outsider." The werewolves howled into the night, their voices echoing through the jungle. John swallowed, something heavy settling in his chest. He had done what they asked. He had proved himself. But now, he wasn't sure if he was just surviving, or if he was becoming one of them. Varaxis stepped beside him, her golden eyes warm. "You belong now," she murmured. John looked at her, and for the first time since crashing here, he wasn't sure if he wanted to leave. The final choice. John Carter stood in the heart of the werewolf pack, his body still aching from the hunt, his breath uneven as the howls of the others faded into the night. The carcass of the shadow stalker lay at his feet, its silver eyes now lifeless. He had done it. He had won. The pack surrounded him, their glowing eyes filled with something he hadn't seen before: respect. Not just from Varaxa, not just from those who had doubted him. From all of them. He wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was one of them. And that terrified him. The Alpha's offer. Varzak stepped forward, his massive black-furred body looming over John. "You came here as prey," the Alpha said, his deep voice cutting through the silence. "Now you stand as a hunter." John said nothing. He wasn't sure what he was supposed to say. Varzak tilted his head, his red eyes burning with intensity. "You have earned a place in the pack. A true place." John's stomach twisted. This was it. This was the moment he had been fighting toward: acceptance, survival, strength. But it wasn't supposed to feel like this. Varaxa stepped beside him, her golden eyes locked onto his face. Unlike Varzak, she didn't press him, didn't force him to speak. She just watched. Waited. John licked his dry lips. His voice felt heavier than it ever had before. He swallowed. "I don't know if I can do this." A ripple of unease passed through the pack. Varzak narrowed his eyes. "You have already done it, human." John clenched his fists. "That's not what I mean." He turned, facing the glowing blue jungle beyond the clearing. The stars above twinkled, distant and unreachable. His stars. His home. "I didn't come here to stay," he said finally. Silence. The weight of those words settled in the air like a storm waiting to break. Varaxa's ears twitched. Her gaze sharpened. "You still wish to leave?" John hesitated. Did he? For weeks, all he had wanted was escape. To get back to human civilization, back to Earth, back to something that made sense. But the thought of leaving felt different now. Because Varaxa was standing right there. Because the pack was no longer just a threat. Because a part of him had started to change. But could he really stay? Was he even the same man who had crash-landed on this planet? The choice that matters. Varaxa stepped closer, her golden eyes unwavering. "Do not lie to yourself, John Carter," she murmured. "You belong here now." John exhaled. "Maybe I do." Her ears flicked, interest sparking in her expression. Varzak crossed his arms. "Then stay. Become one of us fully." John shook his head. "It's not that simple." He looked at Varaxa, his chest tightening. "Because if I stay," he said quietly, "then I stop being human." The pack shifted, murmuring in their own deep growls, their own language. Varaxa's expression didn't change. "You will always be human." "Will I?" John gestured at them all. "Because I feel different. I think differently. I fought differently." "You fought as a warrior," Varaxa said simply. "Not as prey. Not as human or werewolf. But as something more." John's throat tightened. That was the problem, wasn't it? He wasn't sure what he was anymore. He glanced up at the stars again, the distant sky stretching far beyond this planet. That had been his goal. Freedom. Escape. But now, he wasn't sure if he would feel more lost out there than he did here. Varzak finally sighed. "You must choose, human. Stay and accept your place, or leave and never return." John's stomach turned. No middle ground. No halfway answer. Either he left and went back to a life that might not even fit him anymore, or he stayed and became something new. His mind warred with itself. Then, Varaxa stepped forward. Her clawed fingers brushed his wrist, just barely, just enough to ground him in the moment. "You are mine, John Carter," she murmured. "Not a demand. Not a command. A fact." John let out a slow breath. Maybe the choice had already been made. The decision. He looked up, meeting her gaze. And he knew. "I'm staying." The pack howled, the sound echoing into the night, filling the jungle with something ancient, something primal. Varaxa's lips curled in satisfaction. "You are mine," she repeated, this time with a smirk. John shook his head. Yeah. Let's not get carried away." She chuckled, stepping closer, her golden eyes gleaming. "Too late for that, mate." John sighed. Maybe staying wasn't the craziest thing he had done, but it was definitely the most permanent. And somehow, that didn't bother him anymore.